Hi crafters, it's Chloe from Chloe's Creative Cards, and today we are going to be making a lovely project using our Christmas Rose 3D embossing folder, stamp and die set. So we're going to be using the gilded squares with this one. We're going to do a little bit of stamping and embossing onto some vellum as well, and we are also going to be using lots of glitter and sparkle. So we will get started with this project. So let me pop the overhead camera in and we will have a little look. So as always, all of the materials that I'm using are listed in the description below, and you can shop them all on our website, which is www.chloescreativecards.co.uk. So we are going to start off with an 8x8 card blank, and I've got a piece of our crystal white pearl card that I've just trimmed down to 7 3/4 inches square, so that it then fits on the front of the card. So we're going to take this piece of card and we're going to pop it into our embossing folder, and we're going to send this through our die cutting machine. So we'll just grab that in and we're going to take our 2 plates. So we're going to use our base plate and our cutting plate, and we're going to send this through. So off we go. There we go, and then we'll grab this when it comes out the other side and open it up, and you will see how we've now got this most beautiful kind of starry background embossed onto there. Really, really pretty. So what we're going to do next is stick that down onto our base card. So I'm just going to use a little bit of PVA glue to do that. Just pop the little metal tip back on there. So just a little bit of glue onto the back. Now the background on the finished sample is glittered, but I'm going to show you a little cheat for that in a moment, because you only really need to glitter what you can see. So we'll stick this down like this. Okay. So that's nicely stuck down onto our card. And we're going to pop that to one side for now. We're going to grab in some plain white card, which I've got here, and we're going to die cut out our gilded square die. So I think the one that I've used on the card is the second size down. Yes, it is. So we're going to grab that. We're going to take this and tape it down into position onto our card. So then to die cut this one out through my Gemini, I'm going to use my base plate, my plastic shim, and my cutting plate on the top. And then we're going to send that through. And we're going to grab this at the other side. And we'll lift that out, and you can see we've got that lovely die cut square. So I'm going to pop that to one side, and I'm going to take the next size down in our die set. So it's like the third one in. So this one here. Okay. And then we're going to take some crystal white pearl card, and we're going to die cut this one out from the crystal white. So let me pop that into situ and then send that through our die cutting machine like this. And then we'll just grab this at the other side when that has run through. So there we go. Give that a little shuffle. Okay, so we're going to keep this crystal white one in for now, and we're going to take our lovely Christmas Rose 3D embossing folder. And what we're going to do is take that folder and we're going to position it so it is kind of just halfway across that square like so. Okay, and then we're going to send that through our Gemini. So for my Gemini, it's a little bit old now, it's lost a little bit of pressure, so I do my base plate, my metal shim, and then my plastic shim on the top. But for your Gemini, you might not need the metal shim, you might just need your base plate and your plastic shim. So we're just sending that through our die cutting machine, and then we're going to grab that when it comes to the other side, And when we lift this up, look, we've got that beautiful 3D embossed Christmas rose design. Isn't that absolutely stunning? So what we're going to do now is pop that to one side and we're going to get glittering up. So we're going to start off by taking our larger gilded square in. Okay, so you can see the difference there between the crystal white pearl and the plain white, and I quite like using these two together. I think it works really well. So we're going to grab in the original the larger gilded square on the plain white card, and I'm going to take a little quickie glue pen. So this is like a ballpoint glue pen, and we're going to use that glass slipper glitter. So let me grab my little scoop and pop that in there. And what you'll find with the gilded squares is you get kind of this little ridge that you can just work round. So I'm going to go in with my quickie glue pen, applying my glue. So I'm just letting it kind of fall into that little ridged line. And just carefully tracing along. But because that little ridge is debossed, it kind of gives you something to follow. So then we can just go in and sprinkle with our glitter. And then we're going to do the same with the next one here. So down. Okay, and then we're going to do the same with this one here. Oops, there. Go a little bit off track, don't stress too much because you could always just scratch it off with your nail afterwards. Like that, and just nudge it back into the line. And then we'll do the final side now. Just scooting along with that quickie glue pen. And then we'll take our glitter, sprinkle that over the top, and we're going to pop that to one side. Okay, and then we're going to grab back in the one that we've embossed up, and we're going to use some Diamante sparkle glitter on this one. So this is a much chunkier glitter. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to glitter this part up first, and then I'll show you how to do the edges. So I'm just going to do a little section to show you because I have got one that I've already done. So what you're going to do is just go in and basically just trace the detail on the embossing. So we're just going in using our Dries Clear PVA glue. And what you'll find is while it's drying, while the glue's still wet, you'll find that it looks a little bit messy. But once that glue dries down, it flattens out a little bit. So then it looks a lot neater. So please don't stress if you do this and think, oh, it looks lumpy and bumpy. Once it dries, it does dry down a little bit flatter. So we're going to go in with our PVA glue, and I'm kind of just holding it like a pen. I'm not really squeezing the bottle too much because we don't need too much glue on there. I'm just using the little metal tip to kind of move that glue about to where I want it. So you do a little section at a time, and then go in and cover with your glitter. So I did all of the holly leaves in Diamante Sparkle. So this is the chunkier one. And then for the swirls, I went back in with my glass slipper and used the glass slipper on the swirls. So what we're going to do is just work round, just add in this PVA glue. Onto the top like this. And then we'll do the same over here. So you're just using your glue to trace the swirls. And it's worthwhile just taking your time, not kind of rushing with this, but just letting that glue and the tip do the hard work for you. Just by tracing the design. And then we're going to go in with a little bit of glass slipper. So just take that over the top, and then you can see how you get the glitter on the swirls. So if I bring in the one that I've done already, which I've got here, you can see how I've glittered up all of the swirls and the leaves, and then I've just added some little crystals onto the berries. So what we're going to do now is carefully glitter up the edge of this one. So what I'm going to do is use my Dry's Clear PVA glue, and again we're going to just get to the glue is in that little kind of edge, and once you're in that little tram line, you can just drag that glue towards you, and then that'll give you that nice straight line. So then we're going to take Diamante Sparkle. So that's why I'm using the PVA glue instead of my quickie glue to do it on this layer, because the quickie glue isn't strong enough to hold the Diamante Sparkle glitter because it's a little bit chunkier. So if you wanted to use the glue pen, you could do this, but use a glass slipper on this part instead of Diamante Sparkle if you find that easier. So again, just by dragging the glue towards yourself, you will find it a little bit easier. Like that. There we go. And then we'll do this bit here. Just dragging that glue up. There we go. And then you can see how we've created that lovely glittery frame just going around the edge there. So we're going to bring our base card back in. I'm going to put that out of my way so that I don't smudge it. We're going to bring that larger gilded square in and our base card, and we're going to stick this larger gilded square down. So I'm going to use some foam pads to do that. So just a few foam pads onto the back like this. Grab a little waste basket in here just to peel the backs off. And there we go. And then we'll stick that down onto our base card. So you can remember how I said you'll have noticed the background's all glittered, but I was going to show you a little cheat. So what you can do is take your quickie glue pen, but now we've stuck this on, we can see the little stars that you're actually going to see. So then you can take your quickie glue pen, just trace over the little embossed stars, and then cover that with our glass slipper glitter like this. So then rather than doing the full background, we're just doing a small section. Like that. There we go. Sprinkle that over the top. Like this. And you can see how we've glittered up that little starry background. It will have a slightly blue hue until the glue dries, but we've not wasted our time glittering the bits that we're not going to see. So we're going to pop that to one side and we're going to start and create our flowers next. So, actually I might do the little sentiment banner first. So I'm going to use a piece of vellum. Let's do that first, and then that's that bit out of the way and I can stick it on. We're going to use some polished silver, super fine wow powder, and our clear embossing ink pad. So I'm going to start by dusting over my vellum with a little anti-static bag. And then we're going to take our clear embossing ink pad. Then I've got my With Love at Christmas stamp. And I'm going to stamp that just to kind of the side on the vellum. Lift that off. Cover that with our embossing powder. Any excess will go straight back in the jar. And then we'll take our heat tool and just heat this up. There we go. Okay, so next up, I'm going to use an acrylic block. Okay, I'm going to use this as kind of a little ruler that we can just tear against. So we'll shuffle that down. And we'll use that to tear towards ourselves. And we'll do the same at the bottom. Like that. And that's then created our little vellum border that we're then going to pop onto the card. So that's going to wrap around like this. Probably going to fold that about there. A little bit of glue on the back. There we go. So that's then created our little banner across the middle. So what I'm going to do is flip that over and just pop some foam pads on the back again. And then we'll stick that down onto our card. So again, I'm keeping this quite three-dimensional today, but if you wanted to, you can of course keep the layers a little bit flatter if you wanted to post this card or anything like that. I know that we do get a few comments asking how do we send the cards with this amount of dimension, and what a lot of our customers do is they either make a little box or you can buy kind of 8-inch pizza boxes off eBay and all such like. So some people buy those and they find that they protect them really well in the post. So we're going to take that, position that down. So you can see how this is starting to come together now. So we're going to build the flowers up next. So what we're going to do is, let me just get my plate sorted here, sort out my die. So we're done with the gilded squares and we're done with that embossing folder. So let me find, there's my 3D embossing folder. So we're going to use our 3D embossing folder with the vellum now. So to create the flowers, you need to do 2, but I've got some that I've already pre-glittered so that I can show you how to assemble them. So I'll just do one to show you a day how to do this. So you're going to take your folder and you're going to place the vellum inside. And we're going to send that through our die cutting machine. So again, on my Gemini, I'm going to use my base plate, my metal shim and my plastic shim on the top. and then we will just send that through. So this is embossing the vellum. Okay, so then when we lift that out, you will see how we've got that beautiful flower design embossed onto the vellum. And what you'll also notice is we've given you an extra little bit of bleed around the edge of these ones. So if you don't quite get it lined up perfectly, or it moves when you run it through your die cutter machine, it's not too much stress. It's kind of, it will be fine. So what we're going to do is take our dies that also come in the set, and we're just going to position those over the top. And we're going to tape these down like this. Okay, and then we're going to grab in our cutting plate. So I'm going to use my base plate, my plastic shim and my cutting plate on the top. Send this through. Now sometimes with my Gemini I have to add the metal plate in as well when it cuts. I think it's just getting a little bit old, to be honest, and well used. So we'll send that through. We will grab that at the other side. These look, they've gone all the way. I think it needs the metal in as well. Let's pop the metal in and send that back through. I always like to try and cut with the absolute minimum that I can, because you can always send it back through with an extra plate if you need to. So anyway, we'll send that through the machine. And I'm going to grab in the ones that I've got that are already glittered. But don't worry, I'll show you how to glitter these ones up. So then when we give that a little shimmy, those dies will all pop out. Like that. Okay, so what we're then going to do is take these flowers and we're going to glitter them up. So we're going to use a little bit of glass slipper glitter to do this. So again, we're going to use that Art Glitter Dries clear glue, and we're going to go in and just add little dots of PVA glue onto the flowers. I'll just do the large one because that's probably the easiest one to kind of show you on. So you can see how we've just got those little dots all over there. And then we'll dunk that into the glitter, like so. So we'll pop that to one side. So you're going to do that on every flower. So you're going to end up with 2 of each size. So what we're then going to do is take the little flowers and we're going to pinch down the centre of the petals. Like this. This one's got a little bit of glue on there, which has stuck the petals back together, I think. There we go. So we're just going to pinch down the centre and then open it out a little bit. I'll do exactly the same with this one. And then we're going to take a little bit of PVA glue, pop that down in the middle. And then we're going to hold that flower just till that glue grabs. And then you can see that's created the 3D flower. Now what I've then done is taken the little stamen that comes in the set and just die cut that from some silver mirror card. And then you can go in with your glue and just pop one of those in the centre. So we'll pop those to one side and we will grab back in our finished card, which we've got here. And we're also going to use a little bit of pin flare glue next. So we'll squeeze that glue out and just pop a blob in the middle of each of the flowers. And then we're going to take these, just stick them down like this onto our card. So you can see how pretty that is then looking. But I felt like it needed a little bit more foliage. So I'm going to pop that to one side. And within the stamp set, you get this lovely little foliage stamp here. So it's just like little berry branches. So what I thought we can do is we can take that, can take some heat resistant acetate. We tend to just get ours off Amazon now. And then you're going to take your stamp, you're going to position that down, press, lift off, and then we'll take a little bit of scrap paper and we'll take that lovely polished silver wow powder. We are going to sprinkle that over the top, tap away the excess. It's going to go straight back into the jar, and then we're going to heat this up. There we go. And then you can take your scissors, and because this is on heat resistant acetate, you don't need to stress too much. So you can take your scissors and just go in and really roughly chop these out. So you can just whiz around the edges like this, trimming those away. Okay, and then what you can do is take some little jewels and just go in and add them onto the branches like I have done with these ones. And then we're going to grab our card back in. We'll use a little bit of pin flare just to start and tuck these in. Like this, just behind. And I think it just adds that extra little bit of kind of depth and dimension to the design. If you didn't want to use heat resistant acetate, you do get a little die for this kind of berry spray in your set as well. So you can be using that die to die cut these out from card if you wanted to too. And then to finish this one off, I'm going to just add a little jewel in the middle of each of the flowers. So I'm just going to use our Everyday Essentials Bling box. I'm just going to put a blob of glue in the centre of each of the flowers. And then we'll take a kind of medium-sized jewel, first up on there. And then we'll take a couple of smaller ones. Just pop those onto there. And then to finish this project off, what I like to do is, you can get kind of these little nail art jewels and things on Amazon. I could just do with my little gem picker-upper for this. So let me just have a little root through my tools. There it is. So I'm going to use my little gem picker-upper for this. And what you can get is like these little nail art crystals, which are tiny. So they're quite handy for dotting about in the background of your card. So I'm going to just take a few of those onto my craft sheet. And I'm going to take my Dries Clear PVA . And I'm just going to take these and just start and dot them around. Like this. And I kind of just do this a little bit randomly. Going to stick a couple more on. They are tiny, so they are a little bit fiddly. There we go. And that would then be your finished project. So that is using lots of the goodies from the Gilded Christmas collection. So let me pop the other camera in and then you might be able to see that a little bit better. There we go. Oops, on the wrong camera. Oh, no, that one. There we go. So there you can see how we've got that lovely project created using the Christmas Rose 3D Embossing Folder stamp and die set. We've also used the Gilded Square dies, and we've used that Sparkling Stars embossing folder as well. But you can see just by using lots of white card on a project how pretty that then looks. So that would be your finished project. I really hope that you have enjoyed creating today's project with me. If you haven't done so already, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel where we've got lots of card making inspiration. I hope to see you again very soon. Thank you for joining me. Bye.